Suicide Squad is probably one of the most accurately named movies of all time, as the term Suicide Squad probably more applies to the producers of this film than to the actual Suicide Squad themselves. It felt to me like the people who made this film took every opportunity to commit seppuku and stab themselves through the stomach with Katana's soul-stealing blade. Watching this movie, you feel like you're watching Mystery Science Theater 3000. When Abstract and I were in the theater, I couldn't help but make riffs throughout the movie. I initially felt bad for it, but this being Toronto, a bunch of people lighted up joints in the theater, and it reeked of marijuana for the duration of the film, so that was fun. It made me feel less bad, though, about mocking this film as it was going on. So before we get into why this film was bad and yet kind of awesome, let's just talk maybe a bit about the background of this movie. So this movie somehow got $175 million to make it, which is up on par with the Lord of the Rings movies, some of the Matrix movies. It cost more to make than Ghostbusters. This film got more money in its production budget than most AAA super big blockbuster films. Where the money went, I don't know. This movie looked like it was shot on a $20,000 budget. My guess is all of it went to fucking Will Smith. And if that's not a Suicide Squad decision to hire Will Smith for your movie, I don't know what is. He's produced shitty movie after shitty movie after shitty movie for the last decade. And he's taken every opportunity to refuse to resurrect his career. So that was a Suicide Squad decision. It feels like multiple film editors committed suicide throughout this. Multiple directors committed suicide. And the writer probably committed suicide numerous times with Katana's soul-sucking katana. Really, what I kind of want to do, and the only way I think to do this movie justice, is when it comes out on torrent or DVD, I kind of feel like doing a full-length commentary track for this film. Just because there's so much just weird shit in this movie. There's so much bad editing. And just so much just weird, out-of-place scenes. It's going to be really hard to kind of even talk about it. So the Suicide Squad in the DC Universe is their attempt to explain why so many of these people, supervillains, keep getting out of jail somehow. I mean, obviously a lot of them break out. And the superheroes are too pussy to actually kill any of them. But generally speaking, what happens is there's some sort of world-changing emergency. So there's a world-changing emergency, and they agree to give the supervillains amnesty, or at least a lot of time off of their sentences, if they'll go on the Suicide Squad, and go in and fight off the world-changing super evil thing. So they get out of jail in exchange for that. So to form this team, we have only the best of top grade DC villains, including Deadshot, aka Floyd Layden. Who the hell is Deadshot? Is he kind of similar to Deathstroke the Terminator? No, he's not Slade Wilson. He's just a character who's very similar to Slade Wilson, I guess. I don't know who the fuck he is. I'd never heard of him. Okay, so we have him. We have the Joker, who's not really a member of the Suicide Squad or a villain. He says they wanted to put a recognizable figure in. We have Colonel Nick Fury. No, sorry, it's not Nick Fury. It's Colonel Rick Flag. But the editing in this movie is horrible, so I thought they said Colonel Rick Flag, so I just called him Colonel Nick Fury. But a well-known and well-loved character in the DC Universe. We have Digger Harkness, aka Captain Boomerang. And you may be saying, oh, there's a fucking dingo in this movie? Is he going to do crazy shit? Is he going to be edgy? Is he going to do cool stuff with his boomerang? No, he does fuck all this whole film. He's just awful. We have Killer Croc, who's just basically a black guy, and that's his superpower. We have Dr. June Moore as Enchantress, another well-known DC character. And we have some Japanese American chick as Katana. Yes, Katana. Literally the least fucking creative name that I can come up with. And then we also have some other guy who gets killed 5 seconds in the movie, so who gives a shit? And this is like the team we have. This is the crack team of superheroes. There's also, what's his name? Santana, aka El Diablo. Yet again, another well-known character. There's also some assassin guy, but he dies, so who cares? So this is a pretty awesome team. There's also there's Harley Quinn, who's really the only one that people might know from this. It irritates me how DC and Marvel basically have the same set of characters. Like Killer Croc is basically the Lizard, and I actually forget which one's which a lot of the time. So only the best to be part of the Suicide Squad. People may say, Argent, well, we know who these characters are. Okay, but you may know who these characters are. I mean, the only one I knew was Harley Quinn and Killer Croc. But this is a $175 million movie. This has a budget higher than The Dark Knight's budget. Actually, let me just check that because I'm a professional. The Dark Knight cost... Let's see here. Yeah, The Dark Knight cost the same as this movie. Basically the same. So they were willing to throw that much money into this. Okay, so let's somehow try to unravel the plot of this movie. Or should I say plots of this movie? The best way to describe what's wrong with Suicide Squad is it feels like they took maybe like 5 or 6 different movies. They got some like film student who was stoned. He took the various movies, he kind of cut them to hell. He threw the scenes into Windows Movie Maker, waited for it to edit, and then just released it as a movie. Is there a good movie within this movie? No. I don't think this would have been what I'd call a good movie. I think this could have been a passable movie. I think it could have people could have just seen it and said, well, it wasn't bad. They could have done a better job. It's okay in the way that something like Ant-Man is okay. It's passable. But the editing in this movie is literally the worst editing I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. It's literally, the editing is awful. When I was watching this movie, there's kind of this frequent problem where scenes just aren't clipped well. So there'll be like a scene where a character picks up a gun and they look at it, and then it'll just awkwardly hang for 5 to 10 seconds. And I kept going to abstract and cut. Okay, you can cut now. Okay, you can cut the scenes over. And then they would just insert scenes at random points in the movie. Like, let me just kind of go through a bit. Like, when we're getting into kind of the climax of the movie, they're walking up a staircase, and Harley Quinn randomly has a flashback to when she became Harley Quinn. And this is in a film where you had kind of like an opening montage where they go through the various backstories of the members of the Suicide Squad. So they go through them. They go through how they became who they are. For some of them, they came through how they got caught. So that just happens and then just cuts back to the regular movie. There's a scene near the end where I actually started crying. I was laughing so hard. Basically, they just find out that their mission was a bunch of bullshit, I guess. It was after like a really long side trip that had nothing to do with the main plot. And they didn't really feel like getting back to the plot of the movie. So they all go into a bar and they start talking about like what great friends they are and how close they are. And there's like virtually no character interaction between them. I couldn't even remember the name of half the cast. But apparently they're all best friends and they're like a family now, which was never really established. And El Diablo starts telling this really long, like, bizarre story about how he became the way he was. And it was just so lame. It was just so tonally awkward and out of place. And the scene went on for like 15 minutes. It just went on and on and on. And it reminded me of this scene in this one of the worst movies I've ever seen, Cowboys and Aliens. There's a scene in Cowboys and Aliens which was literally the lamest, most stereotypical movie I've ever seen. Scene I've ever seen, where Harrison Ford's talking to this kid. He like pulls out this knife. He's like, "You see this?" Sorry, Paul's laughing real too hard just thinking about it. But he's like, "See this knife? I met a man once, and he gave me this knife, and then later on, I used this knife to kill him." And I carried this knife with me ever since. I mean, it went on for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it was way labor. But it was just such a lame scene, and it just felt like it was cut into the movie. Like, there was just something else going on, and it just cuts to him giving this kid a knife. And it just felt like that. And I just started crying. I was laughing so hard. And just, like, the lack of coherence to this movie. So let's talk a bit about what can loosely be termed the plot. So the main villain, I guess, of this movie is a proud woman of color, whose name is, what is her name? I don't even remember. Let me just see here. Amanda Walker, who's a Waller, who's a proud woman of color. So she's kind of a fat black harpy bitch, and she has come up with the idea of the Suicide Squad. So she goes, what happens if Superman rips off the roof of the White House? We don't have anything except for the other superheroes like the Flash or Wonder Woman or Aquaman or the other good aligned superheroes. No, they don't exist. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get a bunch of villains, most of whom don't actually have superpowers. Like Harley Quinn doesn't really have superpowers. Deadshot doesn't have superpowers. The only ones who are kind of have superpowers are Santana and Killer Croc, I guess. So we're going to get a team of people with no superpowers who are just fucking crazy together, and we're going to use them for super awesome missions. So that was her plan. And to justify her plan, she's like, well, I've recruited this person called Enchantress, and it was this archaeologist who discovered this like ancient spirit who possessed this archaeologist, and they sent the archaeologist to go and work with Nick Fury, and Nick Fury and her fell in love for some reason that was shown off screen, and they did that to ensure the loyalty of Nick Fury, even though Nick Fury was Special Forces and already loyal to the United States, of course. So, yeah. So, Enchantress is basically a goddess, and they use her to retrieve Iran's nuclear weapons program information. So, they have her heart, and that forces her to obey them. Although the heart isn't really particularly well protected, but who cares? So, what happens, like, really early in the movie is Enchantress goes rogue. She goes and wakes up her brother Incubus, and Incubus basically gives her power that makes her immune to her heart being damaged. And Enchantress decides that because humanity doesn't worship her anymore, she's going to build a machine because humans worship machines, and the machine's going to blow up the world. Yeah, you may be going, what the fuck is this? And you would be right. It doesn't really make sense. The irony of this movie is the Suicide Squad is used to stop the Suicide Squad because one of the members predictably goes rogue, and they have to use the rest of the Suicide Squad to kill the member who went rogue, who killed millions of people in the process. So I think that proves the wisdom of the program. Amanda Waller is a sociopath. There's a scene where she shoots a number of FBI agents who are protecting her because they aren't cleared for the Suicide Squad. So Suicide Squad is a crack team. It gets assembled. They kill a bunch of people. It's interesting to note that Los Santos had or El Diablo had killed his family because he can't control his fire powers. And he's decided that he's not going to fight anymore. He's going to live a quiet existence, and he deserves to be in jail for his monstrous deeds. So he's literally the only member who's reformed and trying to get his life together. But they basically, through force and manipulation, make him go back to being a violent thug. So, I mean, that's a good message. The message of this movie is, if you reform yourself and try to become a better person, then that's good. Except if you're Hispanic, in which case you have to be a bigger thug and you can't become properly adapted to society, I guess. So the Suicide Squad is told that it's not actually an ancient goddess. It's actually a terrorist attack. And the terrorist attack, and they believe it even though there's like magical bolts of lightning firing into the sky. And people don't believe in magic in this universe, despite the fact that El Diablo is possessed by a fire demon and can shoot flames. They still don't believe in it, even though this is a universe where Superman has flown on TV. So they go to the city. They aren't there to stop Enchantress. They're there to stop. What's his name? They're there to rescue someone. So they go through the city, and there's like these swamp people things that Enchantress and Incubus have made into these weird super things. And these super things are capable of taking headshots, except when they're shot in the head. When they're shot in the head, they die. But later in the movie, they're told that they take headshots. This is when we're introduced to Katana, who's pretty cute. So she's actually not part of the Suicide Squad. She's actually a good guy. Her husband was killed by a member of the Yakuza using a soul-stealing blade. Her husband's sealed within the sword, and she has trained in the art of the samurai and is committed to justice and killing evil people. So she's actually a good guy. She's there to protect Nick Fury from the rest of the Suicide Squad. They have nano explosives planted in their necks that blow up if they step out of line. However, there's only 2 cell phones in existence that can do that, and later in the movie, both cell phones are held by people who are next to the Suicide Squad members who could easily have killed them. So despite these swamp creatures being like invincible, Harley Quinn's able to kill them with her baseball bat, and the Aussie guy's able to kill them with razors. Okay. I guess that doesn't make sense. So they fight their way through the city, having lame flashbacks as they go. They kind of forget about the Enchantress plot that just kind of fizzles out. They just keep fighting these people. And despite no indications of it, they've become a family. So they reach like Sears Tower or whatever it is, and they go up. And it turns out the person they were there to rescue was the strong black woman. And the strong black woman shoots her bodyguards, and she's like, extract me from this city. So the whole time she was there, and she had the heart of Enchantress, who is the person who's causing the destruction of the city, and they know it's her because early in the movie Nick Fury said she's bolted, but for some reason she won't destroy the heart, which will kill her and save the world. She instead wants to use the Suicide Squad to get her out of the city. So they're about to leave the city when the Joker shows up to save Harley Quinn, and it seems like he's gonna save her, but then Deadshot is offered his freedom if he kills her, but he doesn't kill her, and then the helicopter they're in gets shot down, but Harley Quinn survives somehow, and the Joker ambiguously dies. So then the Suicide Squad gets back together, and then the strong black woman apparently dies, and the Suicide Squad the Suicide Squad is like, well, what's actually happening? They're like, it's actually an ancient god who wants to destroy humanity. And they're really upset by this, even though it's really obvious that that's what was happening. And they're like, we don't want to be part of this anymore. This is bad. And then Deadshot's like, guys, we have to save the world because I want to see my daughter again that I've been a deadbeat in raising because I'm a black male. So that's kind of like what happens, and then we have the bar scene, and then they talk about how they're a family now. So this goes on for about half an hour, and then they get back to the plot of stopping Enchantress. So they send in SEAL Team 6 to go under the subway tunnels of the station where Enchantress is, and they're going to suicide bomb because they have a bomb that has a 2-second fuse, and they can't reset the fuse because of reasons, and they can't remote detonate it because of reasons. And they bring in SEAL himself, but he doesn't want to, and he goes anyways. So the rest of the crack team go to confront Enchantress, and she asks them to join her, and she makes them experience visions of what they actually want, but only some of them. So Nick Fury has a vision where he just wakes up next to the woman he's in love with, who's Enchantress's host. Deadshot, despite the whole movie being about a redeeming of his character and wanting to be with his daughter, has a fantasy about killing Batman. The only kind of interesting one is Harley Quinn's, where she basically dreams of being a 1950s housewife with a completely sane Joker as her husband, and has 2 children, which is actually the only really kind of funny, insightful moment in this film. So that happens, and then the Suicide Squad's like, no, we are the Fast Five. We are the Guardians of the Galaxy, bitch. So then they go into a fight, and given the fact that none of them have superpowers, they get their asses kicked. But eventually, El Diablo decides to fight, and he transforms into a giant demon, and he starts kicking the ass of Incubus. So he lures him to part of the subway station, and then the guy suicide bombs. And despite the fact that guns, rocket launchers, and grenades have shown not to hurt them, a simple C4 explosive somehow kills Incubus and El Diablo. Abstract doesn't believe that El Diablo died because the scene was edited like a monkey, but El Diablo actually does die, and it kind of completes his redemption. So you may be wondering, Argent, if a simple C4 explosive could kill him, why didn't they just call in some jets and just hit the thing with a Moab or a daisy cutter or a fuel air bomb or some other high explosive device and just kill both of them? I don't know. They just didn't want to. It would have just been too much effort. So instead, they sent in the Suicide Squad, even though their mission wasn't actually to do anything. It was just to rescue the strong woman of color who's dead but comes back at the end of the movie. So that having happened, they start fighting Enchantress, and there's a really lame action scene. And then they Harley Quinn pretends to join her, but uses Katana's katana and cuts her chest open, grabs the heart out, and uses it to stop her. The machine that she's been building that's never explained is about to blow up the world, but they somehow have a pack of explosives, and they throw it in a really slow-mo scene, and and Deadshot shoots it with Harley Quinn's Raging Bull, and it blows up and destroys this machine. You may be wondering, but Argent, I thought that C4 was really stable, and you could shoot it or light it on fire, and it wouldn't explode. Well, in this movie, for some reason, it explodes when hit by a bullet, and it just blows up this thing that's like 100 stories tall without killing the people who are standing 20 feet away. So it blows up, and Sorceress is like, no, this machine's gone. Even though I can just teleport across the world, and I could just teleport to Antarctica and build a new one, she doesn't really want to. So with the heart now in their hands, Nick Fury is given the choice to kill Enchantress, but maybe kill his girlfriend, or to let her destroy the world. And he crushes the heart and kills Enchantress once and for all, and then his girlfriend's just fine. So the strong woman of color is such a strong woman of color that she survives, and because she survives, she survives, and then she gives them 10 years off of their sentences for saving the world. As one person points out, I'm serving at least 3 life sentences, so 10 years doesn't really matter. But one of the Harley Quinn gets an espresso machine, and Killer Croc gets BET. So it was worth it, I guess. So they saved the world from themselves, but the strong woman of color is vindicated, and she's proven that this was a good idea, despite the fact that it clearly wasn't a good idea. But they're a family now, and then the Joker breaks in and saves Harley Quinn, and they're together again, and that's the end of the movie. So this film was pretty fucking bad. What I can say though is the editing is so bad, it's so lame, it's so poorly conceived that it's absolutely hilarious. I would actually recommend watching this movie. Don't spend your money to see it, but when it comes out on DVD or it comes out on torrent, I would recommend watching this film, preferably with a friend, preferably with whatever your chosen form of intoxication is, and just laughing, because it's just the fucking weirdest thing I've ever seen. So that's the reaction review of Suicide Squad. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the reaction review. Sorry it went a little long, but there's just so much crap to cover with this film. Talk to you guys later.